Alright, so tonight I am going to finally build this Frame X Lite, and I've been meaning to do this for absolutely ages, and yeah, tonight is the night. So what have we got going in the Frame X Lite? Let's check it out. We've got an Aocoda 3055 ESC. I'm a bit confused by this because it's got 55, so you think it's 55 amp. It's got 65 amp written there, but it's also got 60 amp written there. So I don't know, somewhere between 55 and 65 amps. Not too sure. Now they kindly sent me a free F405 flight controller, so I'm going to be using that as well. I'm going to be using Xing-E-Pro 2750 kV motors. That's right. I'm going to be running 4S on this. I'm going to be using the Foxeer Reaper Extreme VTX. I'm going to be using, with that, the RushFPV antenna, Speedybee ELRS 2.4 receiver, and Caddx Baby Ratel 2 camera. Got some caps, got some Gemfan hurricanes, and that is what's going to be going in. So let's go. Now, do I really need another 5-inch? No. But am I going to build another 5-inch? Yes. Let's go. We've also got a send it strap, because one strap's just not enough, is it? Let's be honest. I threw together this little TPU mount for the camera. Absolutely no idea where it's going to be any good. Also got something printed at the moment. Let's go and have a look at that. So this is going to be a 20mm cherry and ELRS mount. I've just had to basically just chop a little bit off and slam it down because the main one is obviously designed for 25mm. Good thing about Prusa slicer, if that's in focus, I can't even tell, is that you can slice stuff. I could probably get a screen capture if anyone's really interested in that. But if you've got small adjustments to make to 3D print models, like nothing groundbreaking, but you know, you want to adjust certain bits and bobs, then Prusa slicer is awesome because you can do that and save to STL and print it in a different slicer if you want. So know about that. Alright, so I'm not going to go into details about how to put the frame together. I don't know if there is a build video for it, to be honest with you, but what I can say is that I used 25mm stack screws with it because yeah, you got to the bottom plate coming through, and then these are 20mm standoffs. So yeah, just give me a little bit of clearance at the top, not much, but a little bit. That's fine. All right, so what we got in the ESC box? Let's go and have a look. If I can actually get it open. We have got 30x30 ESC. We have got XT60, we've got cap, some stack screws, ESC to flight controller cable, and some green gummies, and also a couple of other screws as well. Okay, yeah, we've got some nuts for the top. Alright, cool. And that's all we need. That's pretty cool. Let's get it open. So there we go, there is the ESC. Alright, what cap did they give you? They give you, get off, bloody hell, what does that say? 35 volt, 1000 microfarad capacitor. I've already got quite a few over here. These are 50s, that is 35, well that's lighter. And we're going for a light build, so one from the manufacturer wins. And they give you plenty of spare gummies, which is pretty cool. Yeah, loads of spares. I think most manufacturers basically give you like one spare, and then you're on your own. But these guys are giving you good 4 spares. Decent. So yeah, I should say a massive thank you to David for providing this frame, and also a massive thank you to Tina at AocodaRC for this flight controller. So yeah, thank you very much. Alright, so I'm going to have my cables come out the front like that, so let's just get these in. I'm going to just place my frame screws in this little box so I don't lose them. Everything else I've just basically taken out of it is going back in. We've got the cap. Obviously the mark side is negative. negative is there, so even though I've just put this in here, I'm going to take it out. We've got a couple of holes for the cap. It's a bit weird because you got, normally when you've got the cap going through, you have small holes on the pads, but these holes are just inside of the pads, and I like to have the holes actually in as part of the pads, because then you basically solder the whole pad down and it holds the cap in place. It's fine, I'll just solder a bit more on that, but I would prefer them to be actually in there. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way while I get the iron out. My trusty pine seal, check it out. My wire bun. It's the only solder to use. It's the only one. Can't open it. I can't open the wire bun. I can't open it. Here we go. Oh no, where is the flux? I've lost the flux. Where is it? Yes. Here it is. Here it is. Let's get some of the flux on. Yeah. I've got my speedy pizza. Right, I'm going to tin these up first. I'm going to be heating my iron up to 420, baby. Alright, let's get a little bit of solder on it first. Tip from JB, obviously, just to get the heat transfer down. And then I tend to pile quite a lot onto the iron first, and then once it starts to transfer down to the pad, start to pile a lot on, spread it out a bit. Alright, same again with the negative, just a little bit on there. And start to spread it out. Put a load on there, mate. Get a load on there. Alright. You're wondering what that noise is? It's the back of this chair. Sounds like I'm farting, but I'm not. Alright, where's the blue tack at? Mate, everything wants to evade me. If you don't have boxes upon boxes of shit to go through for FPV, then you're new. I just literally stuck a bit of blue tack on the bottom. Right, so next thing I'm going to do is just line up my power cables, and then when we get to temperature, heat up the solder. In fact, I might just, I'll put the pliers out, I don't want to burn myself. I might just heat up the solder and the wire and just have it drop down. In fact, I might hold the wire, getting a little bit impatient. Let's get a little bit of blue tack actually. A little bit. Just have that so it doesn't move a ton. Play some heat on that. That heat transfer through. Just let it sink into that XT60. Okay. You'll see it. There it goes. Alright. Not the best, but let's put a little bit on top of that, just to smoothen it on top. Alright, let's do the other side. Put it back just a touch, just heat it up a bit. Wait for this to drop down. That's terrible. I'm going to give that another go. I'm going to move it slightly so I can get a better look at it. Cool. There's a lot of heat going through that. Drop down a bit. Put a touch on just so I can get that heat transfer. That's a bit better. Cool. Alright. I guess I better get this cap soldered on. Get a touch of flux on there. Okay. Get a bit on there. This one. Alright. I'm just going to trim off these extra bits of the cap. Literally just going to snip those away. Cool. So cap is on, XT60 is on. Alright, so next thing is going to be to hook up. Well, I'm going to wait for this to cool down, and I'm going to hook up the flight controller. So let's just put this to the side for a second while it cools down, because I'm going to want to get that extra bit of blue tack off of it. Stuck to the bloody table, look. Alright, so look at the flight controller. Alright. F405, and inside this box we get gummies and an ESC cable. I'm going to assume that ESC cable, that the mapping from an Aocoda flight controller to Aocoda ESC, well, the pinout is going to match basically. You'd think that's a safe assumption, right? I think I'm going to check it anyway. But yeah, alright, so flight controller's going that way. Whether it's actually allowed to do that with the size of the cable, I might have to change the orientation in Betaflight. It's not a problem, but I might have to do that. Just ignore this this arrow and just orient it the way that I can, that I'm able to do with the length of the cable. I've got some other cables somewhere, but if I'm honest with you, I really can't be bothered to go and find the longer ones. I'm just going to change it on the computer later. That's fine. Put the flight controller aside for a second, and I'm probably going to solder on the motors, to be honest. Okay, well actually, do you know what? I'm going to quickly plonk this on. See how much clearance I've got at the top. God, mate, not a lot. I might have to cram that down with the nylons. Tell you what I don't like the look of. I don't like the look of that. I don't like the look of that USB, mate. That is pretty close to the motor connections, especially once I've soldered. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Could stick it upside down. Flip that round the other way. Why would I want to flip this round the other way? Because of the USB, basically. I just don't want the USB connection. It's dangerously close to the motors, and I hate it. Every time I'm plugged in, I need to connect to Betaflight. I just hate the fact that it's so close to the motor connections. If I push down a little too hard, is that going to create some sort of short? I don't like to risk it. I would feel much better if we can just turn it upside down and that just makes me feel a bit better, man. I'm not gonna lie. Having it up like that makes me feel better. I'm gonna have to have it back to front so that the ESC can connect, because that cable is not going to be long enough to reach back. Is it? Nah. Alright, that's fine. Alright, so I'm going to take that off, and now I'm going to solder up some motors. Well, I've got to trim them first, and I've got to fit them. So, I love my Xings, mate. Love my Xings. Push that down. I've actually got a little tool that I can use to strip the motor wires. Here we go. To totally rip off bardwell, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay the cables, just do one at a time, shall we? Down the arm, and then I'm going to give myself just a little bit of slack. And kind of measure it about there. I don't know if you can see that because the screen keeps turning off. You probably can't actually. But I'm going to hit it about there. So I've got a bit of slack. And if I manage to mess up the measurement somehow, then I've got a little bit of room to play with. That's kind of what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to go around for all of the motor wires and do exactly that. So bear with me. Alright, so now I'm all trimmed up, I am going to remove the insulation right from the end. I'm going to use a bit of wire that I've already cut. Let's test it. Alright, so I'm just going to get like a mil off each one. Maybe 2 mil. Just enough to connect to the ESC pad, obviously, but not too much that we're going to give ourselves any problems and potential shorts. Alright, so that is it, apart from the fact I've got tiny little pieces of insulation all over my desk. I'm going to tin, or first I'm going to twist all of these. Now, I think in most cases, to be honest with you, these wires are so short that even if you didn't twist them, you'd probably get away with it. But that's not really best practice. So twist your wires is kind of the point. Twist your wires. Once we're done twisting them, we are going to tin them, and then we're going to tin the pads. Now, I don't like to wait until I've finished building before I smoke test. I like to smoke test various stages along the way, just in case I introduce a short. It lets me know where I've done it, or gives me a much better idea of where I've done it. So yeah, it's a little bit, what's the word? It gives you extra steps to do, but at the same time, if you do introduce a short, then you know roughly where you've done it. Cool. Alright. Just going to unplug that for a sec while I get a bit of flux on all the pads. Alright, now I'm going to tin them. Once it's heating up, I'm going to have a quick swig. Coca-Cola Cherry, which was a substitute in my shopping. I prefer Pepsi. Pepsi Max Cherry for the win, man, every single time. I don't care what anyone says. Pepsi Max Cherry absolutely smashes Coke Cherry all day, every day. Smashes it. No contest. 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12! Alright. Now I'm going to, obviously, the word of the video, start to solder on all of the motor wires. Ouch it. It's a bit hot, you know. Don't know, I ain't got a clue what that accent was, mate. Don't even ask me. I don't know. Alright. Here we go. Where is the smoke stopper? Smoke stopper. Let's give it a go. That's good. Cool. First part is basically done. Now I'm going to hook up ESC to flight controller. So having a look at these pins at the top there, we've got VB, which tells me VBAT. I'm just going to have a quick look at the pins at the bottom, and then that goes to this one here. Having a look at this, bat and ground is that side, pins at the top. Okay, that makes sense that I've got twisted because I turned the flight controller upside down, so that I've got a bit of room for the USB. All right, let's give it another test. Make sure that's okay. Should get the flight controller beeps now. There you go, good stuff. Cool. So ESC and flight controller in. What's next? This is going to be awkward now, isn't it? Because all the pads I want are going to be there. That's a bit of shit. It's my own fault, obviously, but it's just a bit annoying. I'm going to want camera at the front. Duh. For now, all right. We'll get another mount sorted out, but yeah, it fits. Now, I've used this camera before in another build in my racer, and it comes set to PAL, that's stock, and I don't want that, mate. I want NTSC. I'll tie all my analog OGs. We all know that NTSC is the one. Screw up with the hole and screw it in. Alright, so I've changed my mind. I am going to have the power coming out the back. The reason is that I should have seen this coming, to be honest. Having the flight controller facing this way, because there's not enough flight controller ESC cable to have it any other way, means that I've got to run the cable for the camera all the way to the front, and then cable for the VTX from the front to the back. And I don't want to do that because I want to have the smallest cables possible from the camera to the flight controller, and from the flight controller to the VTX. So the best way for me to do that is just basically flip everything around. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just basically pick it up, move it so the flight controller is facing the right way, apart from being upside down, and I'll have the power coming out the back, which I don't prefer. I don't like that, but whatever, I'll live with it. Alright, so I've just, should have probably shown you, but I just stuck the camera and the mount to the front, just so I can basically get the length right for the cable going to the flight controller. So I think here we've got 5 volt ground cam 1. So the camera's going to go over here on the right. Let's cut these. Come fairly close to. It's a shame because they've got a plug, but it's for 1mm space GST, not 1.5, which is it's a shame, man, because I'd like to be able to plug that in. But never mind. It's not a problem. Okay, let's give these a twist. Then let's tin them up. Get our flux. Alright, so now I'm going to bring the heat down actually to about 330, just because these wires are tiny. Alright, I also need to tin these 3 pads here, so I'm going to quickly do that. 5 volt over here, ground, and then cam 1. There we go. Cool. Now we want to do VTX, I suppose. Foxeer Reaper. Now, I'm not going to lie, since I switched this round, we've got the cap at the back, and this is a pretty big VTX, and I'm not sure just about going to fit between these standoffs. So whatever, I will deal with this. I only really need 4 of these, don't I? Because we've got video, ground, 5 out, tramp, ground, and then power. So I only really need the bottom 3 and then the video. I do not need this red and black closest to video. Don't need that. So I'm gonna get rid of it. Show you what I'm doing, I suppose. Just about to get them in there. Pull this up. Pull that out. That's one. Then we get the other power one out. There we go. Get those out. That's actually a massive bit. I don't need all that cable. I only need about this much cable. I mean, even that's a bit much. So I'm just going to just quickly chop that lot. Yep. I always keep these bits of cable, don't I? Again, strip some of this insulation off. So we get ready to solder it to the flight controller. I'm sure you're absolutely buzzing to see me stripping wire insulation. Alright, let's twist all this. Now let's go and tin the pads. What pads am I tinning? Right, let's have a look. So we've got VTX over here. So we're going to want to put tramp to T4, I'm sure. So we've got 5 volt ground VTX T4. Right, 5 volt. I know you can't see that. You'll see it in a minute. Ground. VTX T4. Black to ground. VTX to yellow. And we're going to want white to T4. Alright, there we go. Now I'm going to plug that into the VTX, and then I'm going to plug cherry antenna into the VTX as well, because you do not want to power up your quad without an antenna on it. Do not want to do that. Be bad. See, now I've got the mount sorted already. Printed it just now. Just get that. It's quite flexible. That's cool. Alright. Whack that in there. So like I said before, I like to run smoke stopper, smoke checks at various points. I just want to see that everything I've done so far is all good. Let's have a look. Cool. Now you can't see it, but we did have, yeah, there you go, LEDs flashing on the Reaper. So we're cool so far. We've got camera, we've got VTX, we've got motors. We just need to sort out the ELRS. So let's get ELRS sorted out. Yeah, for Speedybees, the RXs versus other ones that I've been using, I am getting better RSSI at the same distance with these. So they are my go-to receivers. Ground 5 volt TNR. Let's get it tinned, mate. I hate it when it goes through the other side and you just got a massive blob underneath. Nothing on the top. Right, cool. They are now soldered. Gonna stick the antenna on. Now these I like to just get it hovering above, and I put a little bit of pressure on, not a ton, just a little bit, and I'll give it a little wiggle left and right. You'll know when it's in properly. It'll give you a nice click. There we go. Now I'm going to have a look at the flight controller and see where does this receiver need to go. Got a couple of 5 volts there. We've got a T2 R2 and a ground. We've got a ground there as well, so I think probably .5 volt and ground here, T2 and R2 here. I think that's probably the best bet. Tin these up first. On green on R, so green needs to go to T on the flight controller. There we go. Smoke stopper. I'm just going to have a quick check underneath, because obviously I've got all of these connections going underneath. Plenty of clearance. Let's just see if we're okay. We are okay. We've got LEDs absolutely everywhere. So as JB would say, there's a quadcopter. Just need to basically wrap it up and get it on the computer. So let's do that. I've got everything down now. So I've got VTX in the back. Just use a bit of 3M tape basically to stick that down, and then a zip tie around that. I've got the receiver just on top of the VTX, and obviously the zip ties around that as well. All wired up. Cameras in. Got a new camera mount. Threw together a couple of different mounts to come up with this. Slammed baby Ratel 2 mount. So yeah, basically everything is now in and down. Obviously I've not taped up the arms just yet, or fixed the antenna. We'll do that after. But yeah, just getting it on the computer. Alright, so I've already actually done some of this, but what did I do? First thing I did, calibrate the accelerometer. The next thing I did was go make sure that the ports were all set up correctly. So I've got my VTX on UART 4, and that's sitting as tramp in the peripherals because it's a tramp VTX. And then over on UART 2, I've got my receiver set up as serial RX. Next thing I did was I went online and grabbed the VTX tables for Foxeer Reaper Extreme. That's the VTX I've got. Copied those, went into the CLI, pasted everything. Then of course afterwards hit save. I'm not going to do that now because I've already done it. Gave me the option then obviously to customize all my settings to what I normally have. So on race band 3, I'm going to stick at 200 at the moment because I'm going to be mucking around with the camera. I'm going to change the camera from PAL to NTSC, and I'm also going to be binding the receiver. So whilst I'm plugged in, I don't want it to be sitting at 1.5 or 2.5 watt. I'm just going to have it at 200 so it doesn't cook. So the next thing I did was I went to Express LRS configurator, got the releases set to basically whatever release you're on, and I've gone to check out Speedybee, and then there's only one Speedybee RX. Gone for Wi-Fi, set everything up and built it, and that has given me a file, which is this guy here. I'm going to put that on my phone. I'm going to set up the receiver. Now you can probably see the receiver's now flashing red. So I am going to just go and get my firmware that I've just created. I'm going to go to the Wi-Fi. I'm going to change to Express ELRS RX. Here it is. I'm going to go to 10.0.0.1. That takes me to this screen. I'm going to go to the update tab. I'm going to select a firmware file. I'm going to go to, I guess, photos and videos. I'm in my download folder. I'm going to go find the bin file. Get my Speedybee. Up it goes. Sweet. Now I'm going to power cycle, plug it back into the PC. Before I do that, I'll turn my radio on. Just get myself on a model for Betaflight quads, then plug in. Alright, now to plug in. Because the receiver won't show otherwise. Okay, now if I go over to the receiver tab, we can see that we have got action. Just angle it up a bit. I'll see what I'll talk there, can you? And actually, I'm really lucky. It's the first time round. Everything is pretty good. I'm just going to set up all of my modes the way I like them. So arm over here. There's my turtle. My pre-arm. That's basically it. Cool. Alright, save that. Next thing I'm going to do is check the orders of the motors. I am props out. Let's see, reboot that. So I've just switched my motor direction. It's reversed. And then, yeah, motor direction. Let's do the wizard. Alright. I am going to change my camera. I'm just going to plug in the camera control. Go. Get into the menu. Down to video setting. And then you've got the standard there, which is NTSC. If you're set to power, then just change it. I think that's it. I think that is it, mate. Right, let's get it all taped up. And yeah,